Greetings, fellow captains and admirals. Rodamont here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Starsector named Homeworld. If you would like to skip the game's overview, the details about this series, or the setup, please use YouTube chapters. Starsector is an open-world single-player space combat, role-playing, exploration, and economic game. Sort of like a 4X. You take the role of a space captain seeking fortune and glory however you choose. The independent worlds in the Persean sector were granted their sovereignty under strict regulations. Drugs and organs were to remain illegal. Colonization would be prohibited, and any individual born in space would be deemed stateless. The stateless restriction was in hopes to both keep the independent worlds from growing and becoming more powerful, which would upset the balance in the sector, and also to create a lowest caste of people, to be trafficked and exploited as barely more than slaves. Stateless individuals aren't allowed to purchase ships, weapons, commodities besides fuel, supplies, heavy supplies, and crew. They're intentionally prohibited, keeping them impoverished and indebted to the society that outcasted them, and Captain Rex is no exception. He was born and raised on an independent flotilla, orphaned young by pirates and Pather terrorists. Through struggle and toil, Rex finally managed to salvage a few operational ships with the lofty goal to colonize a new home for all of the stateless void-born to call home. The rules are many because of the restrictions placed on stateless, which is that we can only buy fuel, crew, supplies, and heavy supplies from independent planets, and we can only sell to independent planets. We don't do piracy, black market, or illegal goods. We're not gonna ever be recognized as like a stateless independent nation resorting to piracy. We'll just be considered pirates, of course. No unique ships, weapons, or 14th Legion ships. That is, of course, that those things would call extra attention to us, and again, upset the balance of power. So we're not going to be granted statehood by committing piracy or claiming unique anything. We won't be commissioning from factions. They wouldn't want to deal with stateless people. And we aren't going to be hiring officers except for the freebie that we get from one of the mods. No manufacturing ships or weapons either. The goal is to colonize a low-gravity home. Low gravity because the stateless born in space do not have the types of skeletal systems that will allow them to live on anything but a low-gravity home, and to ensure it prospers. You can see the mod list there, and I'll be covering the mods that are involved in this series as they become relevant for gameplay, rather than to just explain them all right now. A bunch of them are also just like utility mods that don't do anything but help other mods. The scenario is a bounty hunter in a wolf with a shepherd, normal difficulty, a skipped tutorial. All the gates will be enabled at the start, and of course a random seed. The galaxy size is larger thanks to the Wide Horizons basic mod, and I am on 98 ARC 8, release candidate 8. Let's get started. New game. Hell pop-ups in iron mode will be turned off. My honorific will be captain, and we're named Rex. We're going to go with this sort of genderless helmet here. Bounty hunter and a wolf, with a shepherd, drone tender, and a cargo full of heavy machinery on normal difficulty, with a skipped tutorial. As I just stated all of those things. Thank you. Laura, Naichi, Weirlig, and Yusuf for the gifted subs, resubs, and the cheer. Or the resubs, and a whole bunch of gifted subs from Naichi. Cheers, by the way. The first thing I am going to do as we load into the galaxy is enable the gates, and that is with dev mode on. So in order to do that, I have the mod console commands installed. Console commands gives you like this command console. When you have console command installed, all you do is control backspace to access this console here, and then type dev mode. Dev mode is now enabled, and in order to enable the gates, we just fly over to the gate like this. And the reason I'm showing you this is, one, so that you know that this is a random seed galaxy. Obviously, I just generated it, so I didn't choose my seed or anything, so I don't know where anything is. And then two, if you want to play along and have the gates enabled, this is a really good way to do it. So what you do is you fly up to the gate, you turn on allow player to scan gates, turn on gates active. That means that like all the gates are potentially active once scanned. And turn on player can use gates, which basically says that the player has the Janus device, which you would normally get through story campaign, but I've done those story campaigns so many times, I don't think it's worth doing an nth time. Forget that. And that's it. That's all we need to do. Turn dev mode off. It is now disabled. And now we are ready to embark on our journey. The first thing I want to do is to take Derelict ship missions to expand the fleet. In order to take those types of missions, we'll have to fly around a little bit. I also want to pick up my first executive officer. So, referencing some of the mods that I have enabled, one such mod is called Second in Command. What Second in Command does is it removes a lot of the skills that the player levels up with. So this is my entire skill tree. It is just a combat tree which affects piloted ship, as you can see, and I don't have any other skills. My initial skill point is going to be put into helmsmanship, which increases maneuverability and top speed, and the zero flux boost. And I'll show you how these skills work with the Second in Command mod. Oh, and here's an Analyze Derelict ship mission. Perfect. I'm going to accept this because that's what we want to do. And there's another one down here. And the reason for this is we can't buy ships. We cannot manufacture ships. So we have to salvage them. So heading over to a oh, hello, pirate. Well, that was quick. Okay. Guess we're fighting pirates. Shame on me for not staring at the screen, making sure the pirates weren't going to jump me. On the top left side of the screen, you can see a tactical display. That is the Yuki's Tactical Display mod, which shows tactical data like armor, orders, etc. I hope their point defense doesn't stop all these missiles. Nope, they're starting to hit. Good. Stinky pirates. Alright, my light escort, you go after their Wayfarer. Its flux is almost maxed, and we want to keep the pressure on. Now, I don't intend to save scum very much. Like, I'm going to try not to, if I can help it. Which means that, like, pirates are going to be a constant nuisance, and that is very much by design. Alright, you bad boy. I'm going to hit full assault. I want them getting up in the face of the enemies here. Just trying to take down all these ships. You know, the other thing I could do is, let's have you direct retreat. They're focused on me. I'm faster than the enemies. So if I tell my shepherd to direct retreat, I can follow suit once the shepherd is gone. We don't need to win all fights. That's not our goal. So a tactical retreat makes sense. And he'll be able to get out no problem. You're gonna overheat if you keep fighting. Alright, let's work our way around these drones and get ourselves towards exit using zero flux helmsmanship and the phase skimmer jumping that my ship can do. Because my co-pilot is about to finish retreating, and I might as well join them. Being able to zoom out all this way is another mod. It's the larger zoom out mod. The larger zoom out mod allows you to zoom out farther. And yeah, they're not really, well, they might be pursuing me, but certainly not with any sort of haste. I move at 233, which is ridiculously fast for a wolf, because I've got the zero helmsmanship helping me out there, plus we can skim along. And Alex, you are welcome for the content, and thank you for the resub. Alright, enter for retreating, and we're out. I'll be renaming the ships that we've got. I've raffled them off to Patreon patrons already. I was going to wait for getting our first XO. So here at the Sharu, which is an independent world, we can go to the bar and talk to the person selling officer contracts. You approach the person that appears to be trying to sell an assortment of contracts, though so far it appears to be to no avail. Hey, you there. You appear to be just the kind of aspiring captain that will once be a ruling force of the sector, or some more important moderate goal if that's to your liking. However, such goals are never reached without some support. May you be interested in what our company has to offer? Despite his high energy, or possibly because of it, all he says appears rather desperate. Here out his offer. Great choice. Our company specializes in what you may call executive officers. This class of officer aims to support a fleet with unique skills. Every officer has different aptitude that they exceed in. As part of the special promotion, the first contract signed through our company will be paid in full by ourselves. See it as a sign of goodwill for future deals. You can continue to hear him out, but you gain a potential picture of what they're trying to offer. So here we go. Choose an officer. So through the second in command mod, the skills that we unlock through leveling up are through executive officers, and there are different types of executive officers. So there's like a tactical officer, which helps with fleet tactics, or a management officer, which helps with crew and management, engineering officer, so on and so forth. These are the recommended ones at the top, but for my first officer, I'm going to be picking for myself, and I'm going to be picking the scavenging officer. We're basically scavengers. Now, there's an important point to be made here, which is there's different categories of officers. So logistical officers, you can only have one of at any time. So you can have hired a scavenger and a piracy. Not that we would do that. We don't do piracy. But a scavenger and a piracy, but you can't only have one active, if that makes sense. So picking the scavenging officer, their initial is another man's treasure. Scavenging now also scavenges scrap. Scrap is like a resource that does not take inventory space, but it can be used for abilities. Done. Fantastic decision. We hope that your officer of choice will be able to further assist you in your goals. Great. And before I do anything else, let's talk about that. So if I hit C for my character screen, we now have this officer, who I am going to rename after a Patreon patron. You are now named Icy. And they are giving me skills. So the first skill, of course, is another man's treasure, which generates scrap. And it's post-battle salvage, which generates scrap. Salvaging abandoned stations, debris fields, derelict ships. All your ships are almost always recoverable if lost in combat. And we get 40% bonus resources, but not, rare items such as blueprints. And then more post-battle salvage. And then the next point I'm going to pick is the reevaluate. So, reevaluate allows you to scavenge through your scrap to find basic supplies, weapons, and blueprints. There is also makeshift measures, which gives you a stronger sustained burn or stronger go dark at the use of scrap per day. There is scrap forge constructs, which allows you to deploy disruptor arrays and relays to be able to sensor burst to find points of interest or throw off other fleets within the system. There is the immediate action, which allows you to quickly sort of makeshift repair your fleet using scrap. There's the Explorer, which gives you max burn, cargo capacity, fuel capacity, and sensor range. Pinpointing, which gives you the chance that an opponent drops weapons after being destroyed, which will be pretty useful considering we can't buy them. And then gives us damage dealt to weapons in combat, so we damage enemy weapons and projectile and energy speed. Derelict, Automata, which would be for AI ships, which we won't be getting into, so it's kind of moot. Scrap Heap, which increases the amount of scrap that we can store. Safe Transport, which reduces the damage from hazards and reduces fuel consumption and ship burn level goes up. And then Hyperspatial Drifter. You recover an additional amount of scrap on average from salvaging options, and then you salvage small pieces of debris so that recovered scrap gives you, you get scrap per light year traveled. So I said I wanted to reevaluate at the start, so we're going to commit to that. And you can have officers unassigned, but up to 3 different types of officers. And the real power of this is you can change the officers you have assigned based upon your fleet composition. So if you have a lot of fighters, you can have like Wolfpack type, fighter type officers. If you have a lot of carriers, you can do carrier officers, so on and so forth. It gives you a lot more flexibility. Also, it ties the strength of your character and your fleet to not just your own skill points, but the skill points of your executive officers. All right, as far as my ships go, let's refit them a little bit. One, they want to be named, so this is going to be the Rex RCV. And I'm going to strip out the blast doors and flux distributor, and instead put in fuel tanks and cargo holds. Because initially, our range that we can travel with the fuel and our cargo that we can keep is kind of more important than everything else. And likewise, I'm going to do the same for the Shepherd. Except for the Shepherd, I'm going to do military subsystems so it can burn faster, and then also cargo holds. And there we go. And this one is going to be the Rex Tal. Perfect. So now we have a fleet that can move at 10 with a max burn of 20 because I've made Tal faster and we can store more stuff because I've added fuel and cargo space. So we'll top up fuel. Oh, maybe not that much. Fuel and some more supplies. And 10 more crew. And again, we can only buy and sell to independent worlds and never to the black market. So I'm always paying tariffs. Additionally, as far as the faction goes, the independent faction here finds harvested organs and wrecked drugs are still illegal. So for most use cases, these commodities are worthless to me. The only use case for them would be if I was to be colonizing the planet myself and the lack of organs or drugs were limiting the growth of the planet, but that isn't selling it, it's supplying it. Just keep that in mind. Ah, Anonymous. Thank you for gifting out some subs, and Kadath for the resub. Cheers. So what we want to be doing right now is heading out to those accepted quests. So we go out to the sector map. I'm going to turn on fuel range exploration and constellations, and then hit E and go to my intel for accepted. So we've accepted a derelict ship quest here and a derelict ship quest here. 17 light years and 18 light years. So we'll go to the 17 light years away at current burn level. Make sure it's within our range, which should be the brighter orange, which it is, just barely, but it is. And head out there. In fact, on my way out there, I might want to activate some gates. I didn't activate the gate in Corvus. I, in hindsight, probably should have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate the gate next to Nova Maxios, so that if we end up finding a gate where we're heading to, I can use the gate to head back quickly. What's the purple item? The purple item is my cyber enhancements. We'll get into that a little bit later. I don't have anything to say about that right now. All right, the other thing I wanted to do is to adjust my ability slots. So I'm going to add transverse jump. So with the second in command mod enabled, everyone gets transverse jump. You just get it by default. And I'm going to put that on my normal bar, and then on my second bar, I'm going to put on Bionic Alterations and Distress Call, I think, as well as Remote Survey. Is there anything else I'm missing? I'll put Reevaluate there. Yeah, okay, perfect. So we're going to head over to Magic, and we are going to activate the gate and then head to the point of interest. Hopefully not getting mashed up by pirates on the way. So if you're wondering about this purple item, it is a bionic container. Basically, it just has all of your bionic enhancements inside of it, so they don't take up normal room. Again, this is an independent world, so I can buy fuel here, which I just did. And let's go pop the gate on. Alright, salvaging. So when you salvage, as you can see, this green bar right here, this is our scrap. That is the ability that Icy offers us. That's the scrap they're referencing. So I got 11% scrap from salvaging the debris field around this gate. And that scrap can be turned into blueprints and goods as well. One thing that's going to be important is as we travel around, poking our heads into all the systems to check for habitable worlds, and then also poking our heads into every system to check for gates is going to be important. So I'm going to be doing a lot of that initially. Because right as we get into the worlds, I can see that like there's Ithaca Desert World that is potentially colonizable, although probably not great. I can also see that there are no gates here, how many stable points there are, if there's other points of interest like a derelict spore ship station, etc., etc. We will start to map out the galaxy around us, because without that information, we cannot possibly find a homeworld. I've turned off my transponder so that if there's pirates out here, we're harder to find. And trying to traverse this nebulous storm so it doesn't mash up our ship. So, the point we're going to is orbiting in an active gate, so we know that there's a gate here. Perfect. And it means that this derelict ship should be really easy to find, because I'll know where it is immediately as soon as I drop in. So the ship is right here. There's a Tundra world, 2 Tundra worlds, a brown world, volcanic world, and then, of course, the derelict ship and an old sensor array. And then this world has ruins on it. I always get asked this. You can tell the ruins because there's this, like, sort of, like, Kessler syndrome debris around planets. This sort of garbage indicates that there's a ruin on the surface. So if I did have the crew and machinery to survey Agrat Matla, or whatever it's called, it would find a ruin for sure, guaranteed. Of course, I don't have the prerequisite stuff for that, so we're gonna have to come back at a later date. But now, in the current version, since I last played Starsector, there's been some new additions, and one new addition is Salvor's Tally. Salvor's Tally gives you the ability to remember all the things that you could potentially salvage that you never did. And then on top of that, I have a mod that allows us to do planet search. So this is yet another mod added to this series, which is literally just called Planet Search, which allows me to search out all the planets that I've ever been to filter them with filtering tools. So I could say, hey, show me planets with ruins. Now, of course, that planet that we just visited, we didn't actually survey. So I know that there's a ruin there, but of course the game yet hasn't revealed that. But that would allow us to find ruins that have yet to be explored really, really easily. Orbital habitat. Ooh, ship recovery of a dram and a mud skipper. Yeah, don't mind if I do. I'll take both, please. Salvage operation. Serenity neural interface, increasing the max speed of the ship by 5% and the turn rate by 5%. I will explain the cybernetics shortly. We also have a reduced rate at which combat readiness degrades, and a increased market fleet size by 10% and defend by 5%. Nice. I'm going to prioritize fuel, supplies, heavy, and then goods and whatever metals we can fit in. We also salvaged a whole bunch of scrap, so we're at 31% scrap now. The new ships, one's a small fuel ship, one's a small crew carrier. And the crew carrier is going to be really important if we want to survey things, because I need crew to do surveys. So that's actually really, really, really handy. And with this in mind, this will be our first raffle, because I have 2 new ships. I can't say for certain that these ships are going to stick around for very long. They're both small ships, and they'll probably be phased out pretty quickly unless I get unlucky. But all the same, raffle timer's up. All right, salvaging the debris field around it. And we also picked up a stellar endurance enhancer, which gives max peak time 50%, reduced damage taken by the ship's engine 10%, but increases the min crew by 25%. Okay, cybernetics. Let's talk about that. So clicking on the bionic alteration, I can see myself, Rex. I have a BRM, which is the bionic limit of 6. The bionics I have right now is I've got a Serenity ocular implant, which increases my flex capacity 5% and dissipation by 50. I've got increased ship raise speed by 10%, and increased rate at which combat readiness degrades by 10%. What I'm going to do here is remove them, because I don't particularly care for any of those buffs. And what that's going to do is it's going to restore some of my humanity. Because I'm less cybernetic, I'm more person. Of your slots, you've got a brain slot. So in the brain slot, we have false visage, which is deployment costs decreased by 25%. But this will cause a hit to my consciousness of 75%, or 25%, sorry, which makes me, you know, a 25% machine, and a BRM of 18, and right now my BRM limit is 6. There are ways to increase this, of course. This is a admin, so this really only helps if you're a governor, so I can ignore that. And the other one is max speed by 5% and turn rate by 20%, and I like that, so I'm going to install that. So now 5 of my 6 limit is to this neural interface. And then I have 1 point left over, and I do have a ship shield raise by 10% for 1 point, or a combat readiness degrade by 10% for 1 point. So I can pick between those 2 1-pointers, and I'm going to do ship shield raise, I guess. I'll put that back on. And that's essentially how cybernetics work. And there's going to be a lot more details later on, but you can also cybernetic your own captains. So I cannot cybernetic my executive officers, but any officers that I have in the fleet, besides myself, I can also install cybernetics so that my co-captains will be equally powerful, if I so choose. A very, very handy tool. Ooh. Oh, here we go. We have a Starfaring XO. That's a good find, too. All right. So, other officers. We have Anath. Well, they're going to be renamed, so it doesn't really matter. Now, here's the thing. They are a logistical captain, as is Icy. So I cannot have both of them at the same time. So I think, sadly, I'm going to let her go. Because Icy I was given free, but she is likely to... Well, I'll keep her for now. I don't know if she's going to cost me money. We'll see. So we know the ship that we are paid to survey is out this way. Oh, and there is a... Well, that's a pretty rinky-dink fleet. But there is a pirate fleet out here, likely, or scavenger or something. Okay, the gate is scanned, and the civilian transport we're here to investigate has a sensor on it, and then I'm gonna, like, break it down for materials. Because they paid me to put a sensor on it, they didn't pay me not to destroy it. Should have specified that ahead of time. But you didn't, and I don't care. And we'll see if any other ships here are salvageable. I don't intend to use story points to nudge into my favor, so we find what we can find. We just found extensive ruin markers as well, so once we have the capacity to survey larger planets or survey really anything, we could seek out these ruins that we know about. Lobsters are worth more. Well, they're pretty much the same cost. I think what I'll do is I am going to go over capacity here and then jump through the gate and sell everything. So let's go back to Nova Maxios and sell our legit got gains, right? These aren't ill-got gains. Turn our transponder back on, and we have some winners. So Quantum, oh, perfect. I will name you after this one. And we're also going to want to mod up these ships so that they're a little bit more useful. And then Portapane is the other one. And given that these are like non-combat ships, well, you know, I'm actually going to leave the weapons on them for now because I don't have a lot of storage space like in my inventory, so I don't want to fill up my storage space with like weapons. But we should also find a place to like stash stuff we don't want to hold on to forever. All right. So, fuel ship. How fast are we moving? We're moving 9 because Quantum and Portapane are too slow. Got it. Let's speed them up. So refit. We're going to give you militarized subsystems to speed you up by 1. And then fuel tanks, because you are a fuel ship. And then just fill you with the capacitors and vents, and that will be good. Okay, likewise, over here, we're going to do militarized subsystems and additional berthing. Quantum is a civilian transport, so berthing makes sense for it. And that's going to raise our crew strength. Then let's hire some more crew. And we can have up to 200, which is going to allow us to survey like smaller planets, which is great. While I'm here, let's buy 47 heavy machinery for even 100, which should allow us to survey a little bit more flexibly, and then like buy all the fuel that is available at Nova Maxios. So our range is going to be much increased as a result of the fuel that we have. Perfect. Over cargo capacity. I think that's an old... Oh no, we're still over. How did I do that? Alright, there we go. Now we have one more mission to go to Durers. But the thing about that is... no, it's not faster to go back to Samael. Okay, that's fine. Let's activate the Gate of Canaan before we head over to Durers. The caveat, of course, is that there is no independent world here, so we won't be able to buy more fuel. But I'd rather have like the gates active anyway. But that fuel ship has really given us a lot of range, so we'll have a lot of flexibility as to what missions we pick up. And I am scanning for the Derelict ship missions. I mean, the other ones have pretty good pay, don't get me wrong, but the Derelict ship missions are going to allow us to, like this one, allow us to expand our fleet. So the Derelict ship missions are going to be the priority for now. Now here at Canaan, the gravity well closest to our targets, maybe this one. And we don't really care who we're working for as long as it's not pirates or Luddites. The Pathers, that is. Okay, yet another gate. And This is orbiting another inactive gate. Perfect. So we're going to have a quick trip back home. It looks like Pathers are trying to chase us to tithe us. Don't want that. One powerful tool you can do with the scrap and salvage that you have here is if you're out of fuel in like hyperspace or deep space, you can reevaluate and get like free supplies or fuel from the scrap that you have, which makes it really easy to, in those kind of oh crap situations where you have burnt all your fuel, you can solve it easy. Ooh, come on, heavy freighter. We got another commander. I'll take it. So, other commander, you're going to be raffled off, and I'm going to put you in the Shepherd. It's rather unsexy compared to, I'm sure, what you were in last. So here's the thing. For the rules of the series, we do not hire officers, executive or otherwise, but they can join us. So this officer is a ballistics and missile officer. So putting them in charge of a ballistics and missile ship would be ideal. Additionally, as I mentioned before, they have their own bionics. So she has a Velo hand module, which increased pilot shield efficiency by 10%, but maintenance by 30%. Let's remove that, because I don't have a lot of money for the maintenance. So, yeah. We're not paying those bills. And I wouldn't mind her to have a peak time. Is there something better? Yeah, we'll do the C module here. The Stellar Endurance Enhancer for peak CR. And put that in here. So as you can see, it's not just us that gets all these fun toys, it's anyone that joins us. And we will slowly build up a crew of powerful people. So this point of interest, this solar system has a lot of fun stuff, I think. Alright, we got Harmony Digestive Processor, peak performance 10%. Flux and Flux I already had that, and Ship Raising Shields, got it. A brawler with a small craft exo. Man, I'm finding a lot of people out here. Bunch of people got marooned, I guess. And this exo is compatible with our current crew. So we can have him as one of our exos because it doesn't have, he's not a logistical category. So there's logistical category and then there's like automation category. So you can't have multiple logistical exos or automation exos. So yet another person that's going to raffle it off. So initially he's got Wolfpack Tactics. Frigates and destroyers do more damage against larger targets. In operating times go up for frigates and destroyers. The ability to pick up safe recovery so that there is extra armor and hull when venting, and active vent rate goes up. A low profile, +1 to burn when considered moving slowly, which is good for stealth, but like we don't do a lot of stealth, probably won't. That's a lot of piracy stuff. Coordinated maneuvers, nav rating of the fleet for deployed ships. So a lot of smaller ships move faster. Swarmy. Jumpstart. Frigates and destroyers have increased stats for the first minute the combat began. And then last but not least, Trap Prey. Opposing ships surrounded by at least 2 frigates or destroyers without nearby allies gain several debuffs. I liked Trap Prey. And I like coordinated maneuvers. I think initially, at least, largely our fleet is going to be like small salvaged ships, because that's commonly what you find in debris fields. So having a bunch of small ships swarming enemies is going to be ideal. All right, so I know that our target is floating around a gate. The other thing is, I am maxed on scrap right now. So I am going to reevaluate. And this is what we found. We found a whole lot of guns, fuel, supplies, heavy machinery, right? And this is all like low-key free as a result of analyzing our scrap. And I'm going to keep the weapons because I know a lot of our ships right now basically don't have weapons. And the only reason I reevaluated is like we're full, so I didn't want to go over capacity. Ooh, a champion. So the plan right now is to finish this mission. I'll go over capacity now because we'll be back in society very, very, very quickly. So I'm not worried about the overpriced. Oh, yes, a manticore. Don't mind if I do. Go through all these ships real quick. A dram? Sure. And let's do some of the raffles. So, the other XO is going to be named Beldurian. Oops. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah, definitely don't turn on dev mode. And then our ships, of which we have 2. Pierogi? And Kazira. And keep in mind, of course, like, we'll probably be going through ships like crazy initially, because we'll just keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading. That is the way of it. We also just found an orbital habitat. Oh my god, they have so many heavy machinery. A Hyperion. You know what? Sure. And because we just did the raffles, I'll roll the Hyperion, and this is going to be Barton. Thank you for tuning in to Starsector Homeworld, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow pilots.